Welcome back, everybody. Silas here today on this warm December day. I am filming this on December 23rd, and a little bit ago before the sun started setting, it was 70 degrees, which for Florida, that's probably about right. But for Kansas, that is not right. They're saying it could potentially hit 75 degrees on Christmas Day. Just craziness. But anyway, I realized I don't have anything recorded for this channel for the weekend after Christmas. And I have really been trying to once a week post something on either on Saturday or Sunday for the second channel for the last month and a half or so. And yeah, I've got some Junkyard content that I could post on there, but I feel like most of that belongs on the main channel. I'm way behind on editing on the main channel. I actually haven't recorded any content for the main channel now pretty much this entire month. There was an auction at the beginning of the month I recorded, and then there was one other video I recorded, but that's it. And I did film a couple little things here and there to finish up some other videos that I had started earlier in the year. But anyway, I didn't want to post any of that on the second channel. Plus, if I get out of order, everything would just seem weird. I did that once already where I posted hauling the trucks before I bought the trucks, and everybody was like, what's going on here? So we won't do that again. But anyway, over the last 4 or 5 months or so, I've been reading through the comments and I get a lot of the same questions over and over again, which I don't mind, but it's not possible for me to answer every single one of those questions in the comments. And so I thought I would do a frequently asked questions video. These are all things that people want to know. This won't be every question that gets asked. I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of questions in the comments on this video asking me more questions that I don't answer in here. Once again, that's okay. Maybe I'll write down those comments and we'll do another one of these in the future. But I figured I would just go through and answer a few of them. That way I can keep the content rolling for at least the rest of this year. This will be the last video that I post. Well, on this channel it will be. I had to stop and think about it, but on this channel, this will be the last video I post for 2025. There'll be one more video on the main channel, probably tomorrow, assuming I post this on Sunday. And then I'm thinking I might try to keep up 2 videos a week, but honestly, I'll probably go back down to 1 video a week on the main channel. And I'm going to attempt to keep posting 1 video a week on this channel and just go back and forth. I don't know for sure about this channel. I just have to see how things go. I have a lot going on, and I know the biggest question everybody has is, what's the status on your big news that you made a video about and then haven't really said anything else about? Well, the status is that things are still in limbo. There's a ton of paperwork a guy has to do. There's a ton of legal things a guy has to do. I mean, it's way more involved than what I thought it was going to be. And so just to be completely honest with you guys, it's probably gonna be spring before I'm able to actually reveal anything. I figured I'd let you guys all know by the beginning of November, but obviously that didn't happen. So that's question number 1. The next question I get all the time is, why do I hold the doors in when I'm running the crusher down? And that's so the doors don't pop out. And then people say, well, sometimes you don't hold the doors, and that's because I'm making video content to make it's more, I don't know what the word for it is, but sometimes it's kind of cool just to go ahead and let the car do whatever the car wants to do. And because I load container trailers, I'm able to shove them in there. It doesn't really matter how good they look. The whole holding the doors in is more of a holdover from the days when we were loading flatbeds and the bundles had to fit in between the rails of the trailer and they couldn't have stuff sticking out because it would snag the net wrap that we had to put around the cars, and the bundles just didn't look good. And back when we used to ship cars to Tennessee and Texas all the time, we had truck drivers that would be willing to drive the extra hour to come here instead of Wichita for free because they didn't get paid any extra to come over here. And the only reason they were willing to do that is because our loads were the perfect loads. Nobody else in the state had loads that looked as good and rode as good as ours. And our bundles would never, our loads, I mean, would never be over height. We wouldn't have them sticking out over the sides. It was just always good, presentable loads. The next question I get is, what do people do with the noses and trunks off of these cars, like you see here, that they're missing all the pieces that have been cut off of them? And the answer is all sorts of things. Some people just hang them on the wall and don't do anything to them. Some people get the lights working, and some people just make stuff like a bar out of them. Some people make couches out of them. Some people make headboards for their bed out of them. Some people make dressers out of them. I mean, there's all sorts of endless possibilities. And a lot of these cars right here in this, well, not those are other cars, but like this Cadillac, that old 58 Dodge over here, this car, this Rambler right here, these are ones I bought from Sean, my buddy Sean, that helps me out here sometimes. And these are ones that he cut off, this old 57 Chevy. And there's a restaurant chain down south, Tex-Mex restaurant chain called Chewy's. You may have heard of them if you're from down there. And they actually turn those into salsa bars. And he sold them boatloads. And in fact, if you go to a Chewy's in Texas or Oklahoma and you go to the salsa bar, chances are that salsa bar came from my buddy Sean. I got in on the very, very tail end of that, and I sold a couple to them, and that was all. They quit building restaurants, and so they quit buying trunks. Plus, they had a massive inventory of trunks already in stock for if they did build more restaurants, so that was just kind of the end of that. And sold them a huge load of hubcaps too. If you notice, a lot of them have one room that the entire ceiling is all hubcaps, and a lot of those hubcaps, once again, came from Sean, but I sold a load of over 1,000 hubcaps to them, once again, right at the very end of them buying. They paid an absolute fortune back in the day. They were paying like $1,700 or $1,800 per trunk. Obviously that doesn't happen anymore, so other people buy them, and I obviously don't get anywhere close to that much money out of them anymore. And that's the other question, is how much do I charge? For a nose cutoff, it kind of depends on what it is. If it's kind of a beat up or a nose that's missing pieces, kind of a bottom of the barrel nose, it usually starts at around $200. Anything less than that, and it's not worth the time and effort to cut it off. Sometimes if I have just a grill that's already out, I'll sell that for 50 or 100 or 150, something like that. But as far as an actual nose cutoff, they start around 200, and like the really nice, desirable ones that are in really good condition with good patina, some of those go on up to around the $800, $900 range. Most of them I sell in the $400 to $600 range. Trunk cutoffs kind of depends. It depends on volume. Like if somebody's buying a bunch of stuff from me, like this one here, the guy that bought this one bought a ton of noses from me and a couple trunks, and so I think I sold him this one for $500. If they're only buying one from me and it's a really desirable trunk that's got really cool fins and stuff like that, and it's all complete, it's probably more around the $1,000 range. If it's something more simple, more around the $250, $300 range. And so they're just kind of anywhere in between there. And same thing with the backs off of these trucks. This one here was a little bit beat up, but the guy was going to paint it anyway, so he didn't care about all the scratches and dents and whatnot. He made something really cool out of this. He made a really neat tool bench type thing to where the tailgate is the bench and it goes up and down. All the tools are hanging up on the back side of it. It's really cool. But anyway, I sold that piece for $300. And that was the bumper, the bed, the taillights, the tailgate, all that, all still together. And once again, those vary a little bit, but they're usually around that $200 to $500 range, just depending on what it is. And people always ask, well, can you ship them? Yes, I can. It's expensive. It costs about $400 to $500 to ship something like that. So a lot of people, what they do is they'll buy 3 or 4 from me so they get a better rate per nose because I give them a little bit of a discount. And then they just rent a U-Haul trailer, or they just, if they already have a small trailer or something like that, they just come pick them up themselves and they make a vacation out of it. I've had people just stop through on their way to going somewhere else, or they'll go somewhere else and they'll stop by here on their way back. And I'm pretty easy to work with as far as that goes. I think I have probably 15 or 20 nose and trunk cutoffs out here that belong to other people that are waiting for them to come pick them up. And those I don't mind holding on to nearly as much as complete cars because they don't take up much room. Now, if you're looking around out here, you may notice that it's kind of chaotic and disorganized. And so all the time people are saying, why aren't your cars in nice, neat rows? What's up with that? Well, the biggest answer for that is that I'm not open to the public. I don't let people just come out here and pull parts on a regular basis. If somebody buys something from me and they come out here to get it, then they're more than welcome to go look around the yard and see if they can find something else. But I don't actually just let people come in to see if I have such and such part for such and such vehicle every day, 5 days a week or whatever. It's not a regular salvage yard is what I'm trying to say. And so I personally like the disorganized look of all this because it's fun just to go out in the cars and go exploring and dig around in them, see if I can find something cool. I mean, like these cars here have been sitting here for several years now, some of these cars anyway. And just the other day, I found a set of bumper wraps in one of these cars that I've had all this time, didn't even realize I had them, like an $800 set of bumper wraps. And so it's just fun for me to go out and go exploring in all the junk. I mean, this junk out here isn't quite as fun as like the junk at my dad's yards, mainly because I bought this property 5 years ago and it was empty at that point in time. So everything you see out here has arrived within the last 5 years, but most of it has arrived within the last 4 years. The first year I owned this place, I didn't have money to buy anything because I was just starting out. I was dead broke when I bought this property, and so I didn't really have money to be buying cars. But once things got going, got rolling, I started buying a few here, a few there, selling some stuff, making a little bit of money, and just kept reinvesting 100% of everything back into the business. And then it accelerated rather quickly about 3 years ago. And most of these cars have come in the last 3 years. So that's why they're not organized. I have no intentions of organizing them. I have some slightly organized, like these Studebakers right here, but then other places it's just pure chaos. And so I like kind of having a mix of both. I would like to get these two roads right here open. I have a truck bed sitting over there blocking that one, and a truck bed and a truck blocking that one. But that's just a matter of coming out here and taking the 30 minutes to rearrange a few things. And prices are going up pretty good right now, or it looks like they're going to anyway for the first part of the year. And so I think I really need to come in here and go through these Studebakers and go ahead and get the last few good pieces off of them and go ahead and smash those and ship them in. There's just a few little things left here and there on these cars. Speaking of yards, people ask me all the time, were all these cars here when I bought the place? And I already answered that question. No, they were not here. In this field here, there was a couple trucks, and I sold those right after I bought the place. And then up front, there was another old truck, which I also sold. And then there was about 100 late model Chrysler products. And if you watch my videos way back, you probably remember seeing some of those. Those my dad bought actually before I bought this property. And so he crushed all those out. As far as actual cars that I bought when I bought this property, there was less than 5 vehicles here. And so I have people accuse me of all sorts of stuff like, oh, you inherited all those cars, or you bought that land and you're smashing those cars or cutting them up and taking advantage of somebody else's lifetime collection on all this and that. I'm like, no, I bought all these in the last few years. And speaking of yards, people get confused as to which yard is which. This is my yard. I own this place out here. This is 100% mine. There are some of these cars out here belong to my dad, which I'm the only one that knows what's what out here. But it was like stuff where I didn't want to crush them, but I didn't have any room at the other yards of my dad's yards to put them, and so I just brought them out here. But my dad has 3 yards in town. He used to have 5 yards, but one of them we crushed out and sold the property. It was just a small yard in a residential neighborhood. Wasn't really usable for anything. Another one we had as a tow yard, but we realized we really didn't want to get into the whole towing thing, and so we actually crushed that one out last year. And that yard is, my dad technically still owns it, but it's not really a yard anymore. Technically, legally, it still is because it's got paperwork to be a yard, but I think there's 7 or 8 cars there. So my dad has 3 yards now. He has the yard that I've been working at the other location where the crusher's at, that I've been running all the time, crushing out the huge pile of cars. Once again, technically that's like 4 yards combined into one, but we'll just call it 1 yard. And on the corner of that property is where my dad started at in the business in the late 80s. And then we have the yard where I was crushing out, where I was ripping apart all the old school buses and the campers and stuff like that, where I was working most of last year. That yard, we don't have any equipment there right now, but there's not a whole lot. I mean, there's still a lot there. There's probably a couple thousand cars there, but mostly older stuff that I want to cut up for art. And so I was running a little bit low on crusher material, so we just went ahead and moved to the other yard. And then we have the yard where I was crushing at when I first started out on YouTube. That yard, we have the crusher, the brand new crusher is sitting there. I have not used that crusher in over a year now. I'm planning on taking one of the loaders from out here. I have 2 loaders out here right now because I was doing some farm cleanups and I needed both, but now I don't need both. So I'm gonna drive one of them back over to that yard sometime after the first of the year and crush a few loads out of there and try to clean it up a little bit. I don't know how many cars I have out here. I have not done an inventory this year. It's getting to be the end of the year, so probably right after the beginning of the year, I'm gonna do an inventory. I always make an inventory video, so that'll be looking for that. But my dad has somewhere in the neighborhood, once again, it's nearly impossible to inventory just how many cars he has between those 3 yards because of the way they're stacked and packed in there. But we're guessing somewhere around when we started crushing there beginning of the year, he had roughly 12,000 cars at that yard. I've crushed about 1,000 out of there. I would have crushed more, but in addition to that 1,000, there was probably 700 or 800 cars that came in that I had to crush. So I've crushed almost 2,000 cars this year out of that yard, not counting what I've crushed out here and what I crushed at the beginning of the year at the other yard. So anyway, you could say there's probably still somewhere around 11,000 cars out there. And then there's roughly, I'd say 2,000 cars like I was saying at that other yard, so that's 13,000. And there's probably somewhere in the neighborhood of about 4,000 cars or so at the other yard where I'm gonna be taking the loader, where the new crusher's at. So you could say 17,000 cars, maybe not quite that many, but definitely at least 15,000 cars that my dad has. Which is the next question people ask all the time is, am I part owner of my dad's business? No, I am not part owner. It's kind of a weird situation. I am a employee of my dad's business. The business I run out of here is totally separate. That's my business. And so I run my dad's business and I run my business. And then of course I have YouTube as a third business. So people say, hear me say I work 3 jobs. That's what I'm talking about, because each of those is a major job in and of itself. I'm not sure what my dad's future plans are. I mean, at this point in time, he's still relatively healthy. His leg has recovered, not completely, but it's continually getting better. Not fast enough for him, of course, when you're in that situation. But from the outside looking in, I mean, for the amount of damage he did to his leg, he's actually doing quite a bit better. I know it's been a year and a half, not quite a year and a half now, but they say that's about a 2 to 3 year recovery, and he is just about there. So another big question I get all the time is, why in the world don't I rip all these trees out and make more room for cars? Because I'm always complaining about being out of space out here. There's a little over 20 acres on this property, and a little over half of it is woodland. And the answer is because I've answered this before, but I'll answer it again. I like trees as much, if not more, than I like cars. And cars are easy to get. Like I've said several times in this video already, all of these cars I've gotten in the last 4 to 5 years. Trees like these, you can't grow woods like this in 5 years. Yeah, you might be able to grow a bunch of sapling elm trees in 5 years, but you're not going to grow something like this in 5 years. Some of these trees are 3 times my age probably. Well, maybe not quite that much, but they're at least twice my age, some of these big ones. And yeah, I would like to clean them up a little bit. Like there used to be a path through here when I first bought this property. There's another clearing back in the trees over there. I'd like to open that path back up. And there's a couple more spots like that over yonder that used to be accessible to where you could ride a 4-wheeler around and kind of go to a few little neat clearing spots. So yeah, I want to take out some of the trees, and like up front where I'm doing a bunch of work up there, that'll be in a separate video. I'm going to take out some trees up there. I've taken out a bunch of trees that were out front in the parking lot. I took out the trees around the buildings. I mean, I took out some for the sake of safety. Like that one tree I took out that was leaning over the building, that tree probably was 70 or 80 years old. That tree probably started growing right after they built that building back in the 40s. And it just wasn't safe for that tree to be there anymore, as old as it was, especially at cottonwood, because they get a certain age and they rot in the middle, and then they blow over super easy. And a tree that big would wipe that building out. So yeah, basically, if I came out here and took out all the trees and filled it in with cars, if in 5 years I decided I didn't want to do cars anymore, or I didn't want to do cars as much, and I wanted a place to go hiking and camping and mushroom foraging, I no longer have trees to do all that in. And it would take decades for the trees to grow back like they are now. So that's why I don't take all the trees out. Whereas the opposite is if I crushed all the cars out here and decided I wanted to get back into cars, within a few years, I could have this full of cars again. I have people give me business advice on what I should do with this and what I should do with that, and how I should clear all the trees out, line all the cars up nice and neat, and sell parts, and have a regular salvage yard, antique salvage yard, and all this stuff out here. But that's not what I want to do. I mean, when people say that to me, they might as well say, sell everything, quit your job, and go work at McDonald's. Just as much as nobody dreams about working at McDonald's. I mean, yeah, if you have to make ends meet, or if you're doing it part-time as a student, or if that's just the only job available in that moment. I mean, it's better than going hungry, but it's not what anybody wants to do. And it's the same thing for me. I don't want to have a salvage yard, and I don't want to have everything lined up nice and neat in rows, and I don't want to have to do all those things. And I know that grinds people's gears, knowing that I do whatever I want to do and I make a living at it. I know I'm blessed and fortunate to be able to do it that way. It's not very common that people's hobby becomes their source of income. The next question I get all the time is, what's the status of the Junkyard camper? Well, I haven't really done anything with it this year. I've gone in there a couple times just to check on it. Everything's still like it was. As you can see, my area here is completely overgrown now. I had hopes of this summer and fall coming in here and clearing all the stuff, that's obviously, that's my outdoor patio there, but clearing all this stuff out and these cars and getting all this stuff gone. But I was just so busy with other things, I never got around to doing that. I'm finally at a point now where I can honestly say that I am making genuine progress on everything. When my dad got hurt, that was a sudden thing. I was on vacation, I got a phone call that your dad fell out of the loader and he's messed up bad. And so instantly my entire life changed. All of my dreams got put aside, all of my ambitions, everything I had planned got put aside as we had to navigate and figure all that out. And so I was literally 100% doing everything by myself, buying cars, hauling cars, crushing cars, processing cars, shipping cars. Things weren't working out the way I thought. And so it really put me behind on just about everything. But I'd say in the last 4 months or so, over the last 4 or 5 months, things have finally turned around and I have made some major progress. And finally, I'd say probably within the last few weeks out here, I have made some major progress towards some goals that I had for a long time ago. And so I think we're back on the upward swing. And so I think next year is going to be different, to where I'll actually have some time to do some junkyard cabin stuff. And I want to do some more junkyard camping videos and things like that. Like I stayed in that bus. That was a really fun video. And I have a couple more things like that in the works. That was kind of my test run to see if people would even watch that video, if people even like that type of content. And it got decent views. And so I think I'll do that again. Obviously, it won't be the exact same thing. I got to change it up a little bit. And now I'm up front, which leads me to my next question I get is, why don't I take these trailer houses out? And kind of like I mentioned, I just have not had time. But like I was just saying, I'm finally at a point to where now is the time. These batteries were supposed to leave yesterday. My truck didn't show up. So it'll probably be here after the first of the year. We'll get these out of here, and then I'm gonna have a dumpster set here next week, and we're gonna start on that trailer house. Probably gonna take at least 2 dumpsters to get rid of it, maybe 3, but probably at least 2, for sure at least 2. And then obviously the frame will go in the iron, and then I'm gonna take out some of these trees right here, and so this area is gonna be wide open right here. So that's been something I've been wanting to do. And then after that, we've got that other trailer house over there. I'm gonna move over there, move some old cars, and we're gonna knock it out too. But yeah, we've really been working out here. I got rid of all the stuff that was sitting here. We even got back up in here in these trees. I got stuff out of these trees that's been sitting here for 4 or 5 years now, since the very beginning. Probably another 30, 40 minutes, and this will all be cleared out completely, and it'll just be the trees and the trailer house is all that's left. And so there's lots of big things coming for next year, so you definitely wanna stay tuned. I don't know exactly how everything's gonna shake out yet. I mean, like I was saying at the beginning of this video, there's a lot of stuff that's up in the air still that I have to jump through some more hoops, and I have to do a few more things before I can really explain it. Oh, I thought those were really weird deer tracks, but those are those goat tracks. Yesterday we were out here working, and towards the end of the day, some guys drove up and said, hey, our goat just ran in your gate. Can we go see if we can catch it? And sure enough, their goat was in here running around in circles. And these cars, they nearly impossible to catch it. I don't know if they ever caught it or not. It was finally getting late, and I said, man, I've got to go. I said, you're welcome to stay in here and keep looking for it. Yeah, anyway, we'll see how things shake out. But yeah, definitely going to come in here, take this trailer house out. I don't know that we'll get to it this year, but probably on my 2-year, more long-term plans, I plan on taking out this building right here. This building's pretty iffy. It's got a steel frame inside it, and that's the only thing holding this building up, because the wood frame that it was built with originally is kind of rickety. It's not really usable for anything. It's got one space down the center that I can drive the skid steer, but the ceiling's off to the side. It's kind of like a tri-tier building, not 3-story, but tri-tier. And I can't get the skid steer anywhere other than straight in and straight out. And so it's just not really usable for anything. It's got a few leaks in it. It's a really old building. Like I say, the frame's all messed up. They built a pipe structure inside it. That's the only thing holding it up. So probably just take it out. I mean, there's a lot of metal there. That building's probably worth quite a bit of money for scrap. It'll make a profit, even counting all the landfill fees for all the wood and lumber that's in there. So that'll give me a nice concrete pad, because I'm going to be careful when I do it not to tear up the concrete floor, and that way I can use the concrete pad, not to build a new building, but just to be able to put stuff on. Then I can build the fence around where the building is now on the outside, and I want to build a road through here. That'll be a gate down there, and eventually I'll probably take out the other building too, but it's a little bit more structurally sound. So for now, we'll just leave that one. And then people ask all the time, why don't I take out the silo? And I wouldn't gain any space, and that's a boatload of work to take that thing out. And so, I mean, I don't really have any incentive to get rid of it. And so, I mean, it's been there for almost 100 years. I might as well leave it there. If it ever becomes unsafe, which it'll probably be good for another at least 40 years. But if for some reason it did become unsafe and start falling apart, at that point, I would go ahead and tear it down. So yeah, anyway, lots of big things happening out here. Things are going to change quickly once they finally change. It's just things have been going really slow for the time being, just kind of slogging along. And we've started to build up momentum over the last few months, a little bit of momentum, and then we're just going to keep building that momentum and just going to break right on through into a full-on jog, or a full-on sprint, I guess it'll be. Sean worked out here all day yesterday processing cars. He's going to crush a bunch of his. He's going to crush that one, that one, that one, that one, the Packard. Kind of crazy, that Chrysler there he saved from the crusher once already, and obviously it didn't survive very long. This Packard he actually bought from me, but he's going to go ahead and just pull the motor out and crush what's left. He's going to crush that one. The Fleet line, he's got to strip all the good parts off of it, and it's going to get crushed. He's got this old car here. He's packing it full of these old doors. He's just getting rid of a bunch of stuff. But yeah, that's what's up. I have lots of intentions, and I hope to make them happen. I really think we're going to make them happen this year for the second channel. I'm hoping I can make the second channel as big as the first channel. The second channel, in a way, has started becoming more of what I had envisioned the other channel to become in the beginning. I never intended for it to be a Junkyard channel. I thought the Junkyard would just be part of my adventures, but somehow I know how it happened. I realized people liked watching Junkyard content, and so I just started posting it all the time. And then it got to where if I posted an outdoor mushroom hunting or hiking video, it would absolutely bomb, get no views. Then the algorithm would be like, oh man, this channel fell apart. We're not going to even show people his next 3 or 4 videos. And so then they would punish me for posting that video. And so none of my videos would get views for a while. And so this channel, I started out by doing other stuff. And it will still be somewhat Junkyard related at times, like Junkyard camping, behind the scenes, videos like this one right here. But also we're going to have a bunch of other type content. My kids watched my last camping video and they're like, Dad, we really want to go camping with you. So I want to make good on that. I've got my 20-foot camper now. And so this spring, once it warms back up a little bit, we're gonna go camping together, and a lot of those I won't bother filming, but a few of those I will film. They really enjoy being in my videos, so I'll let them, we'll make a little bit of content at least. So like I say, stay tuned. I know there's a lot more questions that people ask. I just wanted to answer some of the big ones that I've seen a lot lately. Feel free to comment if you have another question. I can't promise that I'll answer it in this video, or in the comments I mean, but I'll try to keep track of them, and then in the future, maybe we'll do another one, or we'll do a live stream, and in that live stream, I'll answer some of the questions people have. But yeah, thank you for support on both of the channels, but specifically this channel. Thank you for all the support over the last year. It's just the first year I had this channel, I didn't post much. Then last year a little bit more. Then this year I've really tried, especially the last part of this year, to just really get it going. So going into 26, I really want to push it on here and try to get into more of the content that I wanted to film in the very beginning, the junkyard camping and the outdoor type stuff. And don't worry, we're still going to be posting on the other channel too. I might scale back a little bit on the day-to-day, what's going on at the junkyard type stuff. It might be more dedicated type videos. I have probably 2 months worth of stuff already recorded, but once we get through that, I may be more specific things like auctions and farm cleanups and major jobs, or really interesting things that are going on at one of the junkyards. Like when I do take a loader over to the other yard, I'll be sure to film, like, this is going to be my first time crushing in that yard in almost 2 years. And so major milestones like that are really interesting stuff I'll be sure to film. But like I say, I may scale back a little bit on the whole day-to-day crushing 1999 Chrysler Town and Countries. I mean, you can only do so much of that. It always gets the views, but at the same time, it's just me as the content creator, sometimes it becomes more of a burden, and it's not fun to film anymore. And so I don't want this to turn into, like, this is my creative outlet, getting to talk to you guys and make these videos. And if it ever turns into a burden to make these videos, then I've lost my creative outlet. And so I don't want to do that. And so for my own sanity, I have to scale back a little bit on that type of stuff. But don't worry, there's still going to be videos coming out on that channel every week. Like I say, I hope to have videos coming out on this channel every week. If I could do one and one, that would just be awesome. So be sure to subscribe to both channels. Don't forget to do that. I'm going to head home. I hope you have a by the time this video comes out, Christmas is over. So I hope you had a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, and have a Happy New Year, I guess is the way of saying it. I mean, this is weird, filming it before Christmas, but having to remember that it's past tense, future tense. Okay, anyway, I hope you have an absolutely fantastic rest of your day. Remember to get out there, find yourself an adventure. We will see you on the next one in 2026.